Congratulations, contestant! You've been volunteered for a one-way trip to the exotic Outlands, courtesy of the MNC Corporation. If you manage to entertain our audience, there's a slight chance you might win your freedom. Let's go, go, go! How about a new outfit? What do you say? Oh, now that's nice. Get some loot with Bullseye. He's awesome. Spots getting you down. Pick up some juice and destroy them all. But wait! As an added bonus for being captured, you can play as the world's coolest guy, Azo. The Outland Games is not responsible for the content of this trailer or any subsequent activity going forward in the future. By watching this, you acknowledge and agree to a life of perpetual captivity. Thanks! And good luck. But above all, don't die. Was that too mean? Not mean enough? All right.
You're live.
Oh.
Mics are live.
Hi, everybody. We're live. I'm Eka. Welcome to the Uber stream. We're going to go talk about Outland Games, which we just released. When did we release it?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, yesterday for iOS. We wanted to run through the development process. We put together a video that covers 30 weeks. I'm here with the Outland development team. Forrest, Ben,
Hello.
Azo's over here. Probably can't see him. Oh, there he is. And Greg Stackhouse, GG Stack, who did their review.
And
Howard.
And Howard.
The sound guy is back there hiding.
Oh, yeah. Wave hi.
Hi. There you go. There's Howard. He's trying to run the stream. So it's a 5-minute video. We're gonna go through it week by week. Forrest was clever enough to start documenting it, which we never do in any project.
Yeah,
It's
started from the start.
Yeah.
Week 1.
Yeah.
Are we going to play it and pause along the way?
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay.
If you guys want to just chime in.
Yep.
First part's going to be me, because I was the only one working on it. So we started off week 1. We knew we wanted to do a runner, and we just started prototyping stuff. So here we're doing a bunch of different jump mechanics. I think the video only has a double jump, but we had all the jumps, single, double, like fixed height, variable. So we were experimenting, trying to get the physics and feel of it down.
I was the model for the black box, you see.
It's tilted forward, so that way you know you're running.
Right, and then I started thinking about the style for it. We knew we wanted to do it in the Outlands at the time. Well, actually, at the time, I think we just called it Assassin's Run.
Yeah, we knew we were going to do a runner with
Yeah.
Monday Night Combat. We were thinking something in the Outlands, but we didn't know.
Right. So I did this initial piece just to give Forrest some sort of colors and ideas. Ended up taking the Assassin model, or just ended up redrawing Assassin, because initially the version of the Planetary Annihilation engine we were using, it was just super bare bones. There was no support for anything.
Yeah,
So
we actually, the game used and shipped the Planetary Annihilation code base. So this started just before the Kickstarter even started. So it was really bare bones, had a lot of missing features, and we took with it and ran.
So I took, ended up drawing the Assassin, took it into Photoshop, and broke it up into sprites. Because I was thinking about, since we don't really have an animation system, we don't have any 2D animators. Actually, I tried Flash too, but just didn't like the result. So I talked to Ong about building a skeleton. So this is what you're seeing here is the 2D sprite attached to a 3D skeleton that Ong created. You want to talk a little bit about that, Ong?
Oh, sure. Well, it's basically the same puppet shop rig that I've been using in Monday Night Combat and all the other games. But instead, it's rendered out flat and 2D. In the initial form, it's not even exporting bones. It's just exporting the image as is.
Yeah, because we didn't really have support for hierarchies or bones, and it was just like bunch of flat polygons attached, not even attached together, just moving over time.
We were going to do hand-drawn flipbook sprite animation, and then we said, well, let's generate the sprites by Ong animations, but so that skeleton you saw was baked out into sprites.
Yeah, the thing about that skeleton is it cannot turn around because the poses are only drawn from one angle, and then to turn around, we're going to need a whole system of switching sprites and something really complicated.
We couldn't do spins or rotation, or full body rotations.
So this is, we're at week 2 yet? Yeah, so week 2. So Forrest was able to take the exported sprite animation and back into the game, and then I think there's double jump in here too now, right?
I think there's a dash.
Oh yeah, there's a dash.
So in the first week or two, we were messing with the dash, and like it pulls the character all the way forward. So we're messing with the, how far forward on the screen does the dash go? Does the camera go with it? Does the camera trail? In the final version, the camera doesn't move, the player doesn't move, and all animation just makes it feel like you have forward velocity and momentum.
Yeah, but so we're still trying to figure out what the gameplay was going to be like, and we knew we wanted to do running, jumping, double jumping, and dash, and I don't know if we talked about making an attack at that point. Or just talking about dashing through and under things at that point.
Yeah, we wanted to like dash under obstacles, dash through obstacles. I think you see a little bit of that in the next video or next week.
So then I wanted to try to figure out, at this point we knew we wanted to do the Outland, so this is just the early sort of concept I was doing in Photoshop, trying to figure out what the look and the scale of things. And then we took those assets, and so at this point it's very messy. Like there's these are just giant textures. We just slapped them into the world. Everything's kind of hacked together because at this stage of the game, all we want to do is try to get stuff on screen as quick as possible. So we're not really concerned about optimization or how it's going to work or texture compression.
Get it working, experiment, find, get the look and feel of the game down, and then go back and do it right. Okay,
and then we're going to show a little more of that footage. At this point, we had there's a trail that Ong did too. Attack trail. I should probably go back to that. Sorry. Oh, you want to go jump back and forth? So we had the character in. We had an attack. We had a jump. Basic backgrounds, and then week 4, wanted to introduce some obstacles and enemies. So let's show a little bit of that.
There's Chomp Bot. That's what we called the first guy on the left. We had the breakable walls that you're supposed to dash through. Mines, saw traps. We had interesting issues, I thought, with the ghosting in LCD screen. Because this is on an iPhone, so it's like you have the scrolling world and these little monsters and all the little spikes on the spiky face. It just kind of blurs because LCDs all have some amount of ghosting, and so I had to do a lot of work just to get it to read well in motion.
Right, and then it looks way different on the because we're developing all on PCs and LCD screens, and when you actually get it on the device, it looks a lot better.
iPhone screens are way better than our Dell monitors, and it looks much sharper. The ghosting is much less, and so getting it to look right on the final device was super important.
The colors are completely different too, so it's like saturation tests and things would just look completely different on the iPhone.
So by week 4, we had Assassin, still a 2D looking sprite animation. It's driven by a skeleton. We had some background elements. We had fleshed out some basic obstacles to jump in and out or attack, and then Ong started working on this attack animation.
Still all 2D, still having to be constrained into a small box because it's just like a 128 by 128 PNG that's each frame of animation. Yeah,
and we also at this point we wanted to do a pickup, various pickups, and first thing was getting Juice from Monday Night Combat in there, which in this game makes you invulnerable, so you can dash through
run
things.
Through everything.
Yeah.
Invulnerable is a strong word.
All right, so you can fall into pits.
Spike pits still kill you, but you can run through all the enemies and obstacles.
Yeah.
Spike pits and walls kill you.
If you can go back to the footage, Andrew. You can probably just leave it on the footage and we'll just talk over it. More interested in looking at us. So at this point, I took so we were rendering out frames. This is all the Assassin were just a bunch of frames rendered out and played back at a certain rate. And I took into Photoshop, added and painted over it a little bit to add a little juice effect. And the things you see floating are going to be ground mines. And while you're juice, you can just...
Yeah, at this point we had a few different enemies, and just right now they're all floating in the air. So there's a spiky face and the wall. You can dash through the wall.
Yeah.
You can just run through everything. At this point, Ben hadn't done any effects work, so everything just blinks out of existence when when you're juiced and you kill it.
At this point, Forrest decided to do some code cleanup.
Yeah. Everything was super hard-coded. You know, we wanted to get stuff in screen running around, and so then we wanted to make it all, you know, have nice JSON data files. You go through that, define all the enemies, how they spawn, where they spawn, make it so the spike wheel there actually spawns on the ground and not in the air, and yeah, had to get ready for, you know, we knew we wanted to do dynamic levels in some form, and so this was preparation work to make it dynamically spawn.
And really, all our tools for myself and Ong and Ben were just, we would just, you know, use JSON script files to make levels or code in effects work or animation work.
At this point, even now, all the effects are literally hard-coded into the engine still. They're not data-driven.
Yeah. So. All right, so moving on.
I think right now we're at week 6 of 30.
Yeah.
And then for 2 weeks, I went to Amsterdam and Germany, and I was still the only person full-time on the project, so nothing got done those 2 weeks, really.
Yeah,
because
because
a brief delay.
Right. Ong and I and Ben were all just, you know, poking at the project here and there, but we weren't on it full time. Andrew's telling me to get the hand out of my face. All right. Sorry. Okay, so after Forrest got back, we talked more about the animation system, what to do with the characters, and we decided, hey, you know, we have this awesome 3D animator. Why don't we just convert the models to 3D so we can actually do some interesting things with the character? Even though the game is using an orthographic, pretty much a 2D camera, we wanted to be able to do things interesting with the character. So I built this assassin model. Proportions are different than the MNC character. She has a bigger head and longer legs and thicker proportions so that it would read better at the scale of the game and on smaller devices. So this is a model that's in 3D Studio Max, redone with Ong ended up rebuilding a skeleton.
Actually, it's the same rig because I kept all the hierarchies the same from Monday Night Combat.
Oh, okay.
It's just the proportions are different, so it's like nudging around our bones here and there. But most of the animations are, you know, pretty much the same, or hierarchy-wise at least.
Right. So from week 9 to week 12, there was nothing visible on screen that made a huge difference. It was mostly about just a lot of back-end systems work.
It was pipeline, you know, getting it actually running and working fully on devices, build animation systems, just establishing our workflow to get stuff from 3D Studio Max into the game.
So we use mainly 3D Studio Max for all our projects, as well as a plugin called Puppet Shop, which this is all the green and blue objects you see floating around. Those are helper objects to drive the skeleton. All right, so week 13, we start getting the 3D model of the assassin, not textured yet because we don't have texture support for her yet, into the world. Let me play this a couple times. So.
She's lit too.
What's that?
She's lit.
Oh yeah, she's lit too. Yeah.
And that's just me importing animation straight from Super Monday Night Combat and stuff. That's why it looks so weird right now, because it's not really tuned for a side-scrolling runner. It's more meant for a third-person animation. But since the hierarchy is the same, it just sort of worked.
It's all 30 frames per second animation too.
Yeah.
So it looks a little fun.
Everything I do is at 60, but it's not meant to be viewed at this angle much.
So we got the animation in, and then after that we have, so we had to get textures support for iOS and animation specialists. We started UI. Here is our very first UI scene.
It was just a big flat image with buttons that sort of worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, we originally wanted to do objectives and missions. We just didn't get to it. So we took that out, and stats we don't really get to either.
Yeah, the only button that actually works on here is play.
The other buttons are fake.
Yeah.
But, you know, it gives us a basic flow.
So at this point, we're in week 14. I'll stop here for a second. So can you go back, Andrew? Just leave it on the footage. We don't need to cut back. It's fine. It's more interesting, I think. So at this point, we got the assassin model textured with compressed textures, and the backgrounds were all 2D giant tiles before, and at this point we decided to switch to polygonal meshes.
Okay, so in this week, the ground there is made of polygons, and they're completely flat, and so it basically looks 2D, but it's a full 3D model. It's rendering and updating the same way the Assassin model is. Just it was built, to have a certain look and feel to it.
And then we update the pipeline so we can get assets out there. And this was some video capture.
Pause it on that.
Oh yeah.
So this is when I actually started, and
That's Ben.
yeah, needed to do effects and started trying to put effects in the game and just couldn't see them, couldn't figure out where they were going. So I needed to figure out like what the directions of things were. So that weird, giant thing of X's, Z's, and if you can look there's a couple of Y's. That's trying to figure out the axis that the world is in.
That's the first effect
That's the very
in Outland
first
Games.
effect in Outland Games. Also, you notice the scene looks way different than the last time. This is actually a three-dimensional perspective camera of the world. So if you notice things like the assassin looks like they're in kind of the wrong position, and the ground tiles are actually, or the background tiles are actually in 3D space. Yeah, so that's what they look like, and then that's what they actually are in perspective. But it was just kind of a fun experiment to try and figure out how things were, and that was entertaining. But
The assassin animation looks weird because Ong has to, distort it almost a little bit to make it look right with the flat orthographic projection.
yeah, everything's kind of turned towards the camera in odd ways.
And then the next bit of footage. This is how I create the level assets. So they're I don't think I showed the texture sheets. There's 2 or 3 texture sheets, and I end up reusing it to create these variety of different assets. So this is some of the tiles that create the desert tile set, and those are randomized in our level editor, level script. So each time you play, you'll get a different tile set. The beginning is the same, but as you move forward, the tile sets change. At this point, Ben got in some coins, and there's some other camera work done. The background we didn't have it scaled properly yet or anything, but now I think we do have some layers. Yeah, there's layer scrolling. There's some effects. A bit of UI work. Week 16. There's actual particle effects on the assassin.
Blue sky's back.
Blue sky's back. There's effects work when she charges.
Yeah, there's
things.
dash effects, there's jump effects, the landing effect.
And animation work as well. So everyone's sort of plugging in different aspects together. And then we got our first animated enemy in. And we switched away from the smaller Outland-looking characters, and we decided to bring back some of the MNC characters.
They were too hard to read on the device when it's moving. You just they would blend into the background and you would die because you didn't see the enemy was there.
Yeah. So that was our death at the time, which was just there's no death animation, so it just
game
would go.
pauses.
It
The game
pauses and there's an
yeah.
end screen that tells you your score, and there's a bunch of buttons with no text on them.
Right.
The big button in the bottom right is the play.
Yeah. I was still trying to figure out what to do with the intro section, like where does she start? What's the story? We didn't really have sort of the story figured out, and I've been toying with a couple different ideas, and at this point I thought maybe she spawns in a she's a clone, so maybe she spawns in a spawning vat, and that's what sort of this beginning area was supposed to convey. But since I really didn't know what I'd want to do with it yet, kept it super loose, and it's just a one giant loose texture from Photoshop. So I wanted to come out of this tunnel and then and show and sort of expose the Outland to the player. So at this point we had an intro animation, intro area, and you'll see in a second the death animation.
Maybe.
There we go.
Ugh.
So we brought the gremlins in. We brought a version of the shady character in. For all the characters we bring in, we kind of squash and stretch their proportions to make them read for the camera and for the scale.
And Ong brought in most of the models, I believe.
Yeah.
All of them, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Eka did the first pass on the assassin, or the style guide, and then I just keep following that style guide for the proportions and the outline effect, and make it read out when it's small and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ong hacked together a script like he always does. He likes hacking stuff together, and he was able to set up a pipeline through Max using Max script and export out assets and get them into the game really quickly.
Because these are not skin meshes, you have to export them slightly differently than skin meshes, but the whole pipeline with Puppet Shop is, exporting skin meshes and stuff. So it's a slightly different script to export these into the Outland stuff.
So we're at week 19 now.
3D
and-
coins.
3D coins.
Upgraded
And-
from the sprite coins.
Right, and we wanted to do different tile sets, and once I figured out, I went through the desert tile set. Took a long time to figure out, just for a pipeline, how to do the pieces, and based on that, the temple tile set went a lot faster.
We solved all the problems with how to make the tiles, how they fit together, how they spawn.
And here's some of the tiles that make up that. I think there's like 30 or 40 pieces that are combined together. Again, it's not fully polished or anything. Like this point, I didn't have an. I knew the temple wanted to make it bacon themed. That's why you see the stone bacon.
Bacon statues,
Bacon
in,
statues
the
in the background, but I didn't really have an idea what to do with the skybox yet. So.
New mines there. You caught a glimpse of the 3D mine.
Yeah, and we wanted to do another pickup, which Bullseye just made a lot of sense to do. So this was the first time I think we got Bullseye in, and
We wanted to spawn a bunch of coins on screen like in Super Mario Bros. 3. So you pick it up and it's just a wall of coins.
It was at one point actually a wall of coins, but iPhones are slow,
Yeah.
and a wall of coins was too slow, so it's a sparse grid.
We took out a lot of the coins to make it run fast enough on old iPhone devices.
and had to revisit Juice just to make it work properly.
Because the last time we
efficiently.
had Juice, it was still a small 2D sprite.
Yeah.
A couple more effects in there.
Well, trails. First trails.
First trail, more explosions on things.
Yeah, and chunks. So we it made a big difference putting chunks on death. It just felt better when things
There's a
died.
death animation with the chunk meshes flying, plus effects, the little gear socket things.
And you can see in the background, I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the skybox. It's really rough. The mid ground and the background layers are still pretty rough too. So week 21, we
Christmas
break, so we're all out of the studio.
Everyone was out of town for a full week.
And during this week, we created a gingerbread house for charity.
Well, and Ong was out for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, but I did finish Super Hexagon, so there.
So back in January, week 22, you want to talk about analytics a little bit?
We threw in some server reporting stuff so we can see how far players get, what their score was, how many coins they got. We have the store, which you haven't really seen yet, for unlocking costumes, so we can see which costumes are popular, what people are liking. Record, which tiles kill the player. So we probably started to do a lot of play tests at this point, pushing the build to everyone in the office, and could get data on which tile killed players. If there was a certain spike pit that they were dying at.
Week 23, we just focused on just getting a good playable from beginning to end and respawning. So we wanted to get the UI in just to let the players know. We knew we wanted to keep the UI pretty minimal, but we wanted to give them some idea what to do when you start the game. So we added these two buttons, jump button and slash button, and they go away after you press those buttons for a couple times. There's a death animation and starting of some real UI. The leaderboards didn't work yet. The coins, I think they worked.
Leaderboards didn't actually get implemented until the very end, but we had real actual UI. This pretty much looks like the final version, aside for the leaderboard bit. First store. So this is just getting the items in the store, and those were just placeholder textures until we had real data. First pause screen.
Yep. The store, it was tricky because it was the only place we end up using sort of sliding.
Yeah, they're just it was the only part where there's this middle element where it's a big scrolling list from left to right, and we wanted to feel really good on iPhone, so we had to use some of the Apple UI and integrate that with our UI to get that really nice bounce is what Apple has on their scroll. It feels good.
So, and then we just wanted to flesh out the rest of the pause, all the menus. So main menu, start game, basic HUD, pause menu, death menu, and that was pretty much our core loop without the store. Oh yeah, I worked on some of the background in the temple, so you can see a little skybox back there. There's some numbers, and you kill things, coin effects, and then week 25 we start fleshing out the catalog.
This was the first time we actually had the store in game, and all of these meshes were ready to go because Ong had been bringing them in and setting them up. So that was pretty cool. We were able to reuse a lot of assets from Monday Night Combat since we're using full 3D meshes and animations. That we it took some tweaking to get them to look and feel good, but there's a lot of content ready to go.
And Howard.
Hey. So it just says audio work there, but I started a lot earlier. I think probably week 2. I was bugging for us to get the audio engine implemented.
Right, because there was nothing there.
Yeah, there was nothing.
I mean, we one thing you got to remember when if you're licensing something like Unity, all the stuff we're spending time on is already there. But our goal of this project was to take the base version of Planetary Annihilation engine and try to ship a mobile game with it. So
Yeah.
So Forrest spent a lot of time initially getting stuff working.
Yeah, there's a lot of missing pieces that we had to do. Howard insisted it wasn't a real game until there was audio.
It's true. It's very true.
But Howard really started with the audio week 14, 15, I think.
Probably somewhere around there. I think we got sounds in there, just like some placeholders.
Yeah, there's basic sounds. There's a lot of music work that doesn't really come across in these videos of different music in different environments and the layers, and we experimented with turning on different layers when you're in different modes.
Yeah.
So now we're getting ready for the home stretch. I think. I'm not sure what week are we on.
26.
We got some lighting in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like at the beginning, there's you're running through the dark hallway and there's
There you
some lighting.
And then as you jump in over lava, there's some lighting. It's very basic, multiplier on the character, but
one color across the entire character.
yeah,
but it's effective.
yeah, it made the we still there's shadow in here too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fake
Yeah,
shadow.
ground
I
shadow.
just put shadows in it probably
Yeah.
that week.
And chef's hat, spatula, some customization, which all happened over the last couple of weeks before this.
Yeah, so this is week 26 of 30. So at this point, now we're focusing on shipping right now. So Finn did a new coin wave to make the mascot mode a lot more interesting.
And you see multiple color coins. So we have the reds are 2x and the blues are 3x coins.
That's an upgrade you can get. So yeah, at this point we have full upgrades. Like all the UI is there just about, and it's just polishing. I'm doing a lot of perf work at this point to get it to run smoothly on the older iOS devices, and we're all focusing on shipping.
And there's some more content that's going in. So this is that's Outland Assassin with Cheston's
Family Jewel.
Family Jewel. Yeah. Different coin patterns, polish to juice, just a lot of polish. Yeah. A lot more effects. Some leaderboard stuff started going in around this time. And this was so this segment's kind of shows off the cutscene work. We wanted to have an intro, but we didn't have any way to play back any movie, so we ended up in the game version. We ended up just using unhiding textures, and timing it to some audio.
We didn't have a full UI system for sliding in and animating elements, and so we had to use the resources that were available to us.
Yeah, so this just shows the progress of initial sketch to Photoshop painting to animated in After Effects. What I did.
Greg's VO on top.
Yeah, Greg's VO on top.
Greg did mascot and Gigi, of course.
Oh yeah, that went really quickly, but we submitted to Apple several times along the last couple of weeks. And around week 30, we were done.
Submitted and approved.
Yeah.
for watching. Boom.
Boom. So that's pretty much, I mean, Forrest spent obviously the most time on it, full time, more than full time.
A little bit more than full time there at the end.
Yeah, and I was on and off on it for about 4 months. Full time 4 months on it.
Yeah, Echo was part time from the very beginning doing all the sketches, but wasn't full time for a little while.
Yeah.
I think the video was probably about 6 hours.
6 hours of
Maybe.
No.
I don't know, man. We sat in your office for a long time.
You
Like,
did
what do you say
multiple
here?
passes, so.
Yeah, we did multiple because Gigi was a lot nicer, and we went back to
Yeah,
kinda
so we
meaner.
did a tonal shift.
Yeah.
Once we figured out, so we wanted to, let's just push the game show angle.
Yeah,
We wanted to be a little meaner.
yeah, he was pretty nice at first, and then got really mean, and then we kind of scaled it back. So now he's
Thanks for playing.
He's a
On
little
behalf of all of
aggressive,
us here at
but
the Outland Games, I'm
I wouldn't
GG.
say mean.
It works. Get off me!
Yeah. So that was a project.
So that's the development. 30 weeks.
Are we going to show some on the iPad or what?
Yeah. Do you want to take some questions? Can we do that?
Yeah.
I think the number one question is when is it coming out on Android?
Oh, right.
Is there anybody left? Have we bored everyone off?
Did we bore everybody away?
Yeah, I haven't been reading the comments. What's going on? Do they say, where's Android, where's PA? Show us Planetary Annihilation?
Do you guys have any questions for us about Android? Oh, good. Yes, Outland is using our own engine, using the Planetary Annihilation engine. When is it coming to Android?
Well, I mean, right now, it's just on iOS, and it's a chunk of work to do Android. It's a big chunk of work. And if it's something that makes sense for us to do, we're definitely thinking about it. We're trying to figure out how long it would take, how many resources to bring it to Android. And once we answer that, we'll see.
What did Apple ask you to change?
For what?
For the submissions.
Submissions, yeah. Submissions, yeah.
It was just really simple stuff. We didn't set it up right in the App Store we submitted. It failed twice, and both times it took 5 minutes before we were able to resubmit. It wasn't anything terribly interesting.
Did we get Outland minigame with PA? I'll have to ask Maber about that. Okay, let's see. Is it going to support controllers? No. Not for iOS devices.
Yeah, the iOS doesn't have a generic controller. You would have to support every single controller out there or some small subset. So it's
yeah,
it's not
it
really
works
worth
great
it.
with touch. There's 2 buttons, and you can't. The buttons are the size of the screen. You can't miss them.
Yeah, they're visually just in the corners there, but they're actually just the screen split in half.
What question was? I want a lot of design. It was a lot of design show. Why don't you show some coding sessions in the video?
So I like to think that coding is, a lot of times, it's staring at your screen for 5 hours, then cursing loudly, changing one line of code, and going home. Because you spend all day hunting down bugs. So it's not nearly as exciting. It's a wall of text, and the text isn't even changing.
What nationality is Hugo 9966?
He's Brazilian.
He's Brazilian. Oh, he hasn't said that 6 times. See, Gigi's always a dick.
So the game actually runs on the PC because that's where we did most of our development. But it's designed to work at fixed resolutions from the iPhone. So to actually add things like the options for changing resolution and supporting random resolutions is going to be a bit more work if we ever do release on the PC.
We feel like if we do a PC port, it would need to have more content to it.
Yeah, we sell this for $1 on iOS because there's a market for dollar games in mobile. And PC, that market doesn't exist. You want $5, $10, $15 games. That's the low end for Steam. And so we have to add a lot of content for this to be worth, for Steam to be interested in it even. So someone asked, how can an engine for an RTS be used to make a game like this? So the engine's, it's made of a bunch of parts. There's all these different components and systems, and so we use just the ones we needed. Our requirements are really simple. So the engine does way more, certainly for Planetary Annihilation, but this is a pretty simple game, and so we didn't need all of that. We needed input, rendering, meshes, some basic animation support, but the requirements are pretty low, and our engine is pretty flexible. The engine for PA already runs on PC, Mac, and Linux, and so we added iOS support for this game. Worked out pretty well.
Yes, we realize Angry Birds is on Steam. Yeah, so.
Angry Birds is on everything. It's on my TV.
I've got Angry Birds on 7 different devices at home, I think. It's everywhere.
And there was also a question a while back about whether making iOS games is easier. It kind of is, because you're working on a fixed platform. Anytime you're working on a fixed platform, it makes things a little easier, just because you don't have to deal with all the various permutations of hardware that exists on things like PC. But really what made this fast is it's a very simple game.
Right. And we know we were supporting 2 years worth of hardware, which, it's a handful of devices on iOS.
Yeah. We had to support, iPhone 4s, the new iPhone 5, and iPad. There's only 3 classifications of devices, and we knew what they were from day one.
And we got it running on a 3GS, and then decided that it probably wasn't good to release it in that version because it's really slow. I think one person managed to buy it on 3.
No, we got 3GS support up.
It's up. Okay. Yeah.
We got 3GS and iPhone 4 in, iPad 2 and up.
Take one more question, and then we're going to do a little competition between the Outland team.
Oh dear.
Which I will most certainly lose.
This video will be out as soon as we're done with the podcast. I'll
the video and a blog post.
yeah, we'll
with
go up
a
later
little bit
today.
more.
Yeah.
The
Podcast. I mean,
The
screen.
name of the engine is still something that we haven't figured out.
It's called Engine.
Yeah.
The PA engine, as we
We've
call
had
it.
many email threads going on about the various names we could name.
There was never a universal agreement on what to call
I
it.
can talk about that during our
Oh, Maver says he can talk about that.
Maybe we'll tell more.
I can just go off on a big rant about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't rant, do you? I don't.
Maver's not a ranter.
Neighborsrants.com.
I'm pretty sure Mayor's just going to come up with a name on camera, and that'll be what sticks.
All right, so competition, Outland Games competition.
So are we doing 1 run per person? Is that how this works?
1 run.
7.
1 run.
1 run.
One run.
1 run.
1 run per person.
Time
All
is
right.
of the essence here.
All right.
Okay.
So can you see that? Or do you want me to be Andrew?
I don't know.
Oh, are we doing this on the camera? Or is it direct feed? What are we doing?
Okay.
Oh yeah, direct feed.
All right, first up is
All right.
Eka.
Sweet.
And we have a live GG stack for
Place your bets, everyone. I'm gonna
crap.
go ahead and say he's gonna make it 1,300 meters before
1,300. Any takers?
something- It's just too much pressure. Too much pressure.
Good luck.
I love pressure. You know what? I'm going default outfit. Let me get back out of here.
Wait, that's your run. That's 1 run.
No, no,
Well,
no,
there
no.
you go, folks.
No, no. I'm gonna go with skateboarding Azo body. Which head should I go with?
Oh, not Azo head?
Nah.
Pit girl head.
Pick girl head. All right. And then weapons, flaming sword. Now let's go hockey stick.
This is going to be creepy. 10.
Coins, no. Upgrades.
You're maxed out.
What?
Maxed out.
Magnet on or off?
Magnet on?
It's currently off.
What?
It's not about coins. It's about distance.
Oh. Enabled. All right.
Alright, here you go.
Distance.
Distance.
We could do score. We're all on the same
Distance.
Alright.
Azo with pit girl head is creepy.
I don't think it's creepy at all.
That's creepy.
The GG. Where's the
Oh,
where's the commentary?
I don't know how many meters he's gone right now. It's hard to say at this point. Maybe about 200.
Yep.
Hey, look, it's
Oh,
bullseye.
let's look at that. Woohoo! It's awesome.
Is the device muted?
I don't know. You get any sound?
See you later, bullseye.
No?
All right. My house is on.
Hard to say. 500 meters. I know that much.
This new segment brought to you by Aftershock. Mortal enemies got the better of you.
He's in the temple.
You said 1,300, right? I gotta get past 1,300. Then I'll die.
You got a ways to go still.
As soon as it speeds up, I'm usually done.
I like if you look in the background of the temple in the lava, it looks like there's a little bit of like edge animation, like where the lava hits the background. You know, what would that be called for water, Ben?
The flow.
Well, not the flow, but like
It's like the water reflections.
well, it's like when you get like just the water brushing up against the beach and games do all kinds.
Yeah, Ben, what's the technical term for that?
Fucking no.
There's a term for it. Well, there's a term for it. We don't have it, and Eka faked it.
We just dropped an F-bomb on the stream.
And
No.
bullseye's out.
We did
We
not.
just made it adult
Alright.
stream. Thanks, Ben.
1,000 meters.
By Mana Brand Supplements.
That sound familiar?
Brand helps you restore the life-saving armor that keeps you from getting
I've never
hurt in
actually
the
heard it in
first
game.
place.
Really? You never got to 1,000 meters?
No, I'm kidding. I've made it to 1,000 meters.
Disposable income. Queen of Life to the screen.
About 1,700 is all I've ever gone, and that was on my PC.
Uber.
I have the worst possible device to actually play this game. I did buy it, but I've got an iPhone 4. which apparently, because of its graphics capabilities, is not
works
the
pretty
ideal,
well.
Not the ideal phone.
It works pretty well.
Hey!
iPhone 5 works best. Well, iPhone 5, you get the widescreen view.
Crap, it's getting fast.
Oh yeah, oh my God, 1,500 meters. This is pretty good. Should be a song for the Second Temple. Second Temple. If you make it to the Fourth Temple, you get to help the elect Pope, or elect the Pope, right?
The Bacon Pope?
Let's get fast.
Oh!
What? Oh, what?
Bad.
Lame.
2071. That is not bad. The gauntlet's been thrown down.
Someone needs to write that on the board. 2070.
All right.
2071.
That was lame.
All right, I gotta change.
I got
some
distracted by the
costumes.
Pope talk.
Pope talk.
I go chef hat and spatula because it's my favorite. 2071.
Of course, you should go last. You're gonna demolish that score.
Try to ignore the fact that they're rooting against you.
Maybe. It's true. Like it's
No, actually, he's horrible under pressure.
sometimes.
Forrest, there's a lot of people watching right now.
There's bright lights. My palms are
Yeah,
sweaty.
look. Oh, they're saying you're gonna choke, Forrest.
There's like 5,000 people.
Wow.
Someone beat me. I'm now number 2
Yeah.
in the global leaderboard. Yeah, someone did.
Forrest, just remember you're live streaming off on the internet. Just don't choke, right? Just watch
But it was
those jumps.
5,000 a second ago.
They went up to 25,000.
Cheaters.
So
Now
Eka,
1 million
Yeah.
people
I don't
watching.
think we talked about in the stream the final background for the desert because like the skybox changed a lot.
Oh yeah. So
See guy in there.
just to drive home the fact that it's the Outlands outside the city states where MNC takes place.
Desert's gone, but don't worry, I'll get back to it.
So this question about what the TV or video thing is in the options. That's to watch the intro again. It only plays the very first time you play the game, and after that, you'll never play again. But in options, if you click that, you can watch the intro.
Also under options, if you click on the Bacon icon, you can give us a rating.
I recommend
appreciate
5 stars.
Yes.
It's the best.
Please do.
Hey, batter. Hey, batter.
Forrest, I'm surprised. You're doing all right under pressure, man. Just watch those jumps, bud.
No, this is First Temple. I got a ways to go.
This game is Outland Games. It's on
Outland
iOS.
Games, yes.
Yeah, Outland Games on iOS.
It's $1.
It's $1.
So now we're getting back to the
$1.
desert, and so you can see that there's the MNC Stadium in the background.
Apparently,
Oh God, that was close. Got scared.
apparently our little surprise for later is done cooking.
Yes.
Ooh. I'm terrible at video.
Oh!
13.
Oh, way to
I
choke!
started thinking about the surprise we get to eat
Way
later.
to choke! My score might be all right then.
Man, all right.
So Forrest ran 13-13. Can anybody out there tell me what famous fictional family lived at 13-13? No hints, people.
I don't know.
No idea.
There was a famous family when I was a kid that lived at 13-13.
Wow.
This is the worst day ever.
And don't look it
Choke.
up. No cheating, internet people.
I think I know.
Who lived at 1313 Mockingbird Lane? It's trivia.
Trivia.
Mrs. Robinson?
It was not the Addams family. Oh, you're wrong.
Oh,
Maver. Anybody heard that?
Favor's not my
Not the
dog,
Addams
it's okay.
family, folks. You're right, Lucy and Desi lived at 1313. No. Yes, the Munsters.
there we go.
Video game Donnet.net.
Ben, just remember, there's tons of people expecting you to do better than Forrest. Just do better than Forrest, but not better than me.
I'll get 13-14.
All right.
I was talking about the cool stadium in the background, and then I started thinking about Bacon, and then I died.
The Munsters was a great show, by the way. Marilyn was hot.
I watched it on Nick at Night, and it was great.
Marilyn was the only normal-looking one. And of course, the family felt sorry. She was. They had to apologize for her. We're sorry about Marilyn. She's just not right.
So Forrest, the Bacon was OP.
500 meters.
Started thinking about it, you died.
It's true.
So do people know about the Bacon coming up?
Nope. Not yet.
All
We
right.
just told them there's Bacon coming up.
Oh, but it's more than just Bacon.
Oh, it's more than Bacon.
I'm using the fire sword because I made it. So.
At some point, Ben just started throwing a lot of stuff, and it's like, all right, why not?
Ben had 2 weeks, all right, add effects for whatever you want to add effects for. Go.
I think I'm going to beat 1313.
Ooh, we'll see.
All right.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of
A
pressure.
lot of pressure.
That'll be it.
Hey, I'm insulted. I don't suck at these things. I just don't play them.
Who's gonna be commenting on your play?
Oh, we'll make it.
You'll have the confidence of.
You have to comment on yourself.
I guess so. Someone give me a lob.
Well, so is he going to be the insulting announcer insulting himself?
Apparently, yeah. I feel like I
This
should
is
tell these
about
people
where I
what they're going
died.
to be eating so they can look it up.
So don't do what I did.
Yes, Ben, do what Forrest did.
Don't run into the mine. That one right there.
Hey, Ben, look at the MNC Stadium in the background. Oh, we're Bacon. We got Bacon coming up.
Man, Ben, look at all these cool coin patterns. I wonder who did those.
I did.
What's your favorite graphics card right now?
So, Ben, tell me about shaders for Planetary Annihilation.
What exactly is smart glass?
Oh, that was close.
I don't think anyone knows what smart glass is.
Does anyone know what smart glass is? In the comments.
Ben, tell us about the Google Glass.
God damn
Google glasses, whatever they're called. Google glasses.
Oh, is this 2,000 meters?
He's
going too fast.
So, Ben, we have a question from the comments to ask Ben about TV latency.
He loves talking about TV latency.
That's great.
So, Ben, what would you say the latency of the iPad is versus a monitor versus a television?
First, the Oculus Rift.
Ooh, Oculus Rift latency.
Still pretty good.
I'm still the best though.
2190.
Yeah,
Oh.
Dang. All right, you want to see suck?
Ah, Ben.
I will go next and suck it up.
I'm still thinking I'm never gonna get 2190, but I think I can beat 1313.
Man.
We'll see. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna keep the same. Here we go. Outland Games, yeah. Let's do this.
Pick your outfit.
I'm just going with this. Boom.
Is this good enough to pick up GG audio? You
Yeah.
gotta play-by-play. You gotta call out.
I'm picking up coins. I'm a coin master. Dare I say I'm a coin star? Right. Oh, stop me. Oh, Bulls, look, it's Bullseye. Hey, look, it's Bullseye. Woohoo! Woohoo! Woo! Woo!
Getting a little winded there.
A little back to Bullseye sounds like that because he was a chain smoker. He's got emphysema. COPD.
That's just depressing.
Oh, what the hell? I knew that. 457. Write that down. Score it.
Don't bother.
What the hell?
Okay.
I'm sorry, folks. That was just
Hazel?
embarrassing. I was trying to be fancy.
Oh, you want to go first? No, you need to go first.
Howard will go last.
It's better to die young and
I'll
play
clean
with
up
style,
first.
people. Write that down. Die young, play with style. Jump and
Is Azza
kick.
gonna be himself?
Of course he is.
Skater self or what?
Normal self.
Everything skater.
What weapon does that? Oh, of course, the Kung Fu bench. So we'll wait. I want to wait until you're actually playing before I ask you a question.
The crowd loves it when you do good.
Oh, I'll hold the mic for us.
Do good.
So tell me about the Kung Fu
that, okay?
bench. Why is it a Kung Fu bench? So
Right. This is a model you had. Yeah. People were asking why we can't put this in SMNC. It's like the model, when you look at it up too close, it's kind of low poly.
it does not have many polygons.
It did not have to be modified that much to work on this resolution.
The other models we had to remove polygons and then add a little bit of outline to them. The Azzo model was pretty good to go.
Yeah, if you go to Azzo's YouTube site, if you go back a couple of years, you can find this model.
This new
some of
segment
his old
brought to you by
animations.
Spunky Citrus Flavor. For a free sample, see Loa over in the Flats District around 27th and Taylor. Tell him T-Rex sent you.
Is that mic dead?
No, it's the mic.
It's probably just not close enough to his.
I'll hold it closer.
Alright. Now it's really distracting.
Can you guys hear Azo now?
Awesome.
This is very tiring on my shoulder, so if you could die quickly, please.
Oh, look, they've got juice.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. We'll be getting to PA soon.
Yep.
Just so you know, in case I suck, I did beat Super Hexagon.
It's true. Like on hardest is whatever.
The 6th
Party's
level.
over, the
I've
juice
been
has
in
expired.
66 seconds in the hardest level.
Ah, look at that. They made it to the desert. Here we go, folks.
They're miking up Maver and Steve. Is that what I see in the background?
Yep. Good night, people. I'm gonna get.
Bye, Eka. Oh, my shoulder's really starting to hurt.
Use your other hand.
All right. I was hoping you'd take sympathy in suicide.
Oh!
I guess we should turn
There we go. And
So close.
winner is me so far, unless we get Howard to play. I think people
we're
want to get to PA. Yeah,
Maver can
Maver
play.
can play.
I can play.
The start of the PA announcement will be Maver playing.
Howard hasn't played yet.
Is my mic on?
Yeah, then we're done. Then we'll switch over to PA.
Okay.
Oh, just leave it on the. There you go.
It's a little tight here.
All right.
That was dumb.
I'm gonna get up. Get out of the way.
Gonna go with the candy cane.
We haven't seen that Mega variation
That's
of
Oh yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
where I was going.
Schoolgirl, Schoolgirl.
I'm not gonna do that well. Because I can't hear the audio. I can't hear the audio right now. So that's yeah.
Howard actually can't see. He just only.
Right. I just use my ears.
Yes, that was
That's
definitely
true.
a problem. Yes. Greg was claiming he did badly because he wasn't using his own outfit.
Look, everybody, it's Bullseye.
So now we can ask Howard questions. So Howard, what's your favorite bit of audio in this game?
GGVO.
They sat in an office and yelled loudly for a while.
Oh.
What the heck?
We didn't
You
expect
jumped
you
on
to
the
do
mine. I said, wait, what was it? What was his score?
480.
I tried to skip really quick past it.
Oh,
I couldn't hear
Greg.
anything.
So this is based off of the MNC world, which Super MNC is part of,
Hey John, are you gonna
but
play?
this is not
Yeah.
SMNC.
I want to
No.
see if I can beat the team.
Okay.
You know, the first thing I want to say about this game is I was really impressed at how this came out. So congratulations to everybody that worked on it. The quality level of this is just out of this world
Thank you.
compared to what I was expecting. You know, not to.
Like, thank you.
So let's rock and roll here. I'm just gonna go with the same outfit. Mega Bath.
Go, go,
I don't
go.
actually own
You
this
can do
outfit.
this. You can
Actually, I've
do
never
this.
played this on an iPad either. I'm used to the iPhone 5.
No, we don't have a kickback from Coke.
We should.
Official drink of the PA.
So what does it say if I beat all you guys?
That we're terrible and you're amazing.
I'm not gonna. Don't worry. I think my best is like around 2,000.
Well, the current record is 2,190.
I could get lucky. Yeah, see, I'm getting the
Where's the
advantage
PA
here.
questions from the comments I see?
Yeah, guys,
Well, one of the
asking
things people,
questions, and
one of
I'll
the,
ask them.
The mere mention of the
Okay.
possibility of asking
I
him
started
questions.
thinking, and that was it.
And he
have the re-
still
I don't have
beat
the
Greg.
reflexes.
He still beat Greg.
Say goodbye, Outland team.
Second chance.
We're gonna switch over
Alright.
to Maver and PA segment. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Have fun with the game, hopefully.
I'm gonna
Thank
let
you.
Steve sit there. Okay. So one of the questions that we had during the other segment was the name of the engine, and this is kind of one of those. Yeah, just squeeze on in, Steve. That was one of those questions like, well, what's the name of the engine? And the real answer is we don't actually have a name for the engine. We just kind of call it the PA engine or the engine or whatever. And part of the reasoning for that is that I feel like if you name the engine itself, that kind of names can either evolve or they can be created for like a marketing perspective. And I haven't heard a name that I thought was cool, so I just called it the PA engine. So this is going to be a much more sedate kind of thing than that last segment. Steve Thompson joining me here.
Yep.
So let's see.
Hey, everybody.
In the last couple of weeks, we released some of these unit shots. I'm assuming everyone who's watching this has already seen these, but it's possible people watching afterwards maybe haven't gone and looked at them yet.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go through these and talk about them and
Yep.
have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the goal was the dev team wanted to have white box versions of all of our units so they can start getting them into the game and start, playing and testing out the units. And so it's good for gameplay functionality, but also for art. And so what we did is we cranked through every unit that we had defined as fast as we could, just to kind of get a ballpark of, what size and shape and for all of the playable units so we can get to our, first playable. So what you're seeing now is a compilation of every one of our in-game units. And
Well, this is every one that we have built.
correct.
Right. It's not the whole set. There was
Right.
some confusion about like, hey, where are these all the units? It's like, no, these aren't all the units. It's about 75%.
Yeah, yeah, kind of a first pass.
But this is plenty to make the game playable and fun.
Yep.
Right. And the other units that are kind of more esoteric will come online as they're kind of required.
Yeah. Yeah, so the most important thing is getting them in and starting to play with it to kind of see what we're going to need. So what you're seeing here is a max file that is a compilation of all of the units put together so we can evaluate art style and scale and how they're reading. And we did a render of this and submitted it to our backers forum for them to kind of take a look at. And we didn't label them. We didn't say this is this unit and this is this unit. And that was intentional because we wanted to see what people thought. And we wanted them to guess to see, hey, are these things reading properly? Which is really kind of a cool process because we got a lot of great feedback. And
Now, I mean, that's an unbelievable process that we're not used to having
yeah,
the ability to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we did this with the Delta.
Yep.
Now we did it again with this, where we can put it in front of people and basically get that raw reaction and capture that and feed it back into the process.
yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, imagine me getting perspective of hundreds of people instead of just a few. It's very insightful.
It's literally the difference between being able to just have 5 people look at something and have 500 people look at something.
It's awesome and awesome input, and people are super excited about it. And they must have lots of time. Like we had some of the shots come back. Somebody had labeled every one of them with what they thought it was, and they were amazingly accurate.
Amazingly accurate.
It was
yeah.
great. It was pretty cool. I can actually show that to you if you want. So a couple of the backers. What?
The hell is that?
I think I'm installing something. Let's try it this way.
There we go.
Yeah, so this is one of our forum participants went and labeled every one of these, which is cool. Pretty darn spot on.
So let's talk a little bit about the white box process before we get into kind of the details of some of the units here. Why do we build these white box units in the way that we build them? What's white boxing all about?
It's getting the unit in quickly, right? So we can evaluate. Well, first so we can play with it, right?
Right.
Get in the engine and play with it from an engineering and design perspective. But for art, it's great because we can take a look at the scale and see how things are going to line up. And like the ships, for example. Like when I was building the ships, some people said, well, they're way too big, and some said, well, not big enough. Well, let's just get it in and see what it looks like when we play with it. So.
And the cool thing is, like from a gameplay perspective, we don't need textures on stuff to make the game perfectly playable. We can take all the stuff that's here, get it in the game, play with it, and then as unit roles kind of evolve, we can evolve the final art to kind of be respectful of what that role is.
Yeah, yeah. It's neat because every one of these units is in a separate max file, but this particular file has a reference to all of those individual files. So what can happen is that as artists are working on these individual units, this master file gets updated automatically. So I can come into work every morning, open up this file and see the progress of all the units that have been created.
And your intention is basically to do something similar to what they did with Outlands, where we're, for the documentary, we're basically screen capping these things over time. So we'll kind of see as the game evolves.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, these units that are, you'll see that some are more finished than others, of course. And over time, we'll have like a time lapse of how these things, pop into place and get more and more refined. And the scale will change and they'll move around a little bit, and we'll add props here and there. So it should be an interesting study in our process. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So yeah, we should talk about that.
The ship is a good example.
Yeah, exactly. So these renders serve as a good tool for communication as well. A lot of clarification in terms of design and function have come up from just having these renders come around. One of them was the ships. One of the forum backers said that why would a futuristic ship that is in a world with just robots have a bridge? There's no reason to have areas for humans to walk around on, because it's all robots. And it's a really good point. And we discussed that a little bit. I think one of your comments was like, well, it's a capital ship, so just having those bridges makes it instantly identifiable as a ship. So now we kind of balance, how identifiable is it compared to how well does it work with the fiction, and how are we going to manage that?
The interesting thing is I made it so, to me it's really important that someone that's coming into this game that is not necessarily a fan of the game can actually play it and understand what stuff is.
Right.
So that it does serve that function. And then people say, well, it doesn't make sense, why would these robots have these? And my response to that is basically, we control the universe and we can decide what makes sense. Just as an example with the ships, for example, where did these commanders come from? Who created them, right? Maybe some of these designs are inherited from before there were commanders. Maybe it's a case like in evolution where you get these simulacrum structures where there's something that's left over due to the process of creation, right? And bridges on ships could be an example of that. Why is every unit in the game not just a Borg cube that shoots out laser beams, right? Like, wouldn't these futuristic robots, why do they even need these different types of things, right?
Yeah.
Just have a cube that can go underwater, out in space, and has massive weapon systems, be done with it. The fiction is not the point of the game. The gameplay is the point of the game.
Exactly.
So if we're inconsistent sometimes, we can always make up an excuse as to why we're inconsistent and fix that in the fiction. But gameplay is king, readability is king, and the ability to understand what the heck is going on in the game is of paramount importance. Another example of that actually is those construction stripes. That was something that I felt like, it's kind of cheesy, right? At the end of the day, to have these black and yellow stripes on things, but it makes the game more playable and more readable, and people understand what that means. It's almost universal. I mean, not completely, because some countries don't use black and yellow, but...
yeah, but it's something you can learn quickly, like, oh man, I can build something in there. Yeah. So yeah, it's on factories and mobile construction units, so it's a good visual motif, defined function. It's cool.
So what? Another one of the comments that a lot of people had was about the factories, right? They're like, well, hey, they look the same.
Right, like the Tech 1 and Tech 2 look identical.
And not just that, but even like between the different ones, right? They're like, oh, there's too much similarity, or my point there would be between the Tech 1 and Tech 2, obviously we just copied them and scaled them up, right? The Tech 2 ones aren't done. But the more finished something looks, if it's got texturing on it, people assume that it's finished.
Done, right. Yeah.
Nothing here is finished,
right?
Except the delta.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So what were some of the other questions people had? What's the mystery box?
The mystery box. When we submitted, again, we didn't label these, and so when people saw this little box right here, like, what the heck is that? I was wondering, like, and people started guessing, hey, what is that? Is that another commander, or what?
I actually had the same question, right?
Yeah,
when
you
we first looked at it.
That's right. So what the heck is that?
And that is a now it's a mystery box. I think we should just call it the mystery box and have it turn into some kind of doomsday machine or something. Yeah. But originally it was just a placeholder for a wall piece, dragon's tooth. It doesn't actually look like one, but that's what it is. I wanted to do some more interesting stuff with walls anyway. Walls are kind of a little fuzzy in terms of where they are. So it's just a placeholder for a wall piece, nothing crazy. But now I really do want to turn it into some kind of crazy mystery box.
Yeah, it is
You
cool.
know, it
Again, and
makes
that
me-
all emerged from backers forums and just talking about it and saying, hey, what the heck is that? Even inspired some concept art.
Yeah, I thought
Some
that
fan
was
art. That's pretty awesome.
like, what the
What
fuck
the
is
hell is
that?
So yeah, that's that.
Did you have some other images of that in there? I thought there was some others. Maybe
No,
not.
That's it. That's all we got. That's it.
So, I mean, the key points here are, this is not all the units, right? Most of the stuff here, I think people got right as to what it is. This is a core set of stuff that we're concentrating on to make the game fun and to make it playable. The crazier units that require multiple different systems integration pieces to work are the things that you do that you layer on top of this. But the game with these units needs to be fun and playable and work well. And so, one of the things we can do is we can figure out as we go if we want to switch some unit roles around or whatever. We can do that when it's in white box and it doesn't cost as much.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to animate some of this stuff, right? Andrew's working on factory animation
Mm-hmm.
today, for example, and that is more costly if we start wanting to make changes there.
That's true.
So
That is true. Yeah, it's been a fun process. Very fast, iterative process, which I really like.
I always say that fundamentally this is not a complicated game. Nobody ever really believes me, but there's a lot of things that we're doing different from some of the other games, and in some ways I want it to be powerful yet simple. The factory size differences are kind of an interesting example of this, actually. People are pointing out, well, hey, if your factories are different sizes, how can you do an upgrade path from a Tech 1 factory to a Tech 2 factory? The answer is, you don't. I was never a fan of that. I don't personally think that makes a whole lot of sense. And I want to have the Tech 2 factory be able to be bigger or different, or not have requirements from the Tech 1 factory put on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people wonder what the octagonal thing up in the corner is.
Yeah.
I see some questions flying by around that. It's just a placeholder shape for the orbital weaponry platform. Kinetic energy weapons. I like to think about it as dropping crowbars, but there may be multiple types of ordnance that it can drop.
Cool. You want to take some more questions?
That's a gas mine, white box.
Not anymore.
Doesn't matter, it's white box.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter because it's white box. So, do you have anything else you want to say, Steve?
No, that's about it.
I'm trying to think if there's any other points I wanted to make. I make most of my points in the forum, right? I mean, if you care enough to watch this live stream, but you don't read stuff in the forum, then I would say that you have your priorities misplaced. Because, if you say something intriguing in there, I'm likely to respond to it immediately.
Yeah, you're really good about that. Cool.
Where did my Coke go? I thought Coke
Yeah.
was sponsoring
Where
this
was
one.
it? Oh, it's over there.
Damn, I left it over there.
It's over there. You're Coke deprived right now.
So let's take a few questions here.
All right. Largest tower-like structure looks like a missile launcher. That's a good question.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see that in the original concept video,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the Tech 2 orbital factory, essentially, right? You queue stuff up and it launches it.
Into space. What orbital units might we see?
Orbital is I understand the ground gameplay very well. Orbital is a lot more complicated and a lot more fuzzy in terms of I know what most of the units are, but exactly how they work and exactly what ones end up in the final game is going to be much more driven by the gameplay. Obviously, everybody here is in the alpha. At least I assume that you're in the alpha, and if you're not, again, why are you watching our live stream? So, we're going to figure out some of that stuff together, but, the initial kind of plan calls for a number of different units that we have planned out for that.
Yeah. So what's the smaller rocket next to the large rocket?
The Tech 1 orbital.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, you have to build your infrastructure to get, especially if you're on a deep well gravity planet, you're not going to just go to immediately be able to do interstellar spacecraft. You have your Tech 1 factory that helps you get your smaller satellites up. And then, if you want to start doing interplanetary, you need to get that Tech 2 launcher going.
Yeah.
Unless you're on a small planet with low gravity, in which case you can use one of the landers to kind of fly around. So,
Cool.
So there aren't any TAC missile launchers. Not every unit is here, right? We did a subset. So just because a unit is here or isn't here doesn't mean it's in the game. I reserve the right at any point to change what the final mix of units is. Brandon Potter wants to know, are the commander files stored locally or on the server? Everything's got to be stored locally. And I actually sent you an email about that about half an hour ago, Brandon. Not you, Steve, him.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because he emailed me about it.
Oh, nice.
When are we going to be able to upgrade our Kickstarter payment? I think the answer to that is soon, but I don't have the exact time. I know we're working on it. Question, will battles be as big as Supreme Commander? What do you think, Steve?
A little bit.
At least as big?
Planetary.
Splash damage? Of course, certain things have to have splash damage. Is the little 4-engine thing a gunship or a transport? You know, that's an interesting question,
it is.
because it was kind of conceived as a gunship, but I decided I wanted to make it effectively be like an Atlas. So I've never been a fan of the gunships. I know people really like them, but they're really tough to get the balance right on.
We had a discussion about the transports too and their function, and does it carry multiple units or one unit? And you want to talk about that?
I don't know if I want to go into detail on the transport situation yet.
Cool.
Can we? Yeah, that's what all they want to know. Can we commander snatch? Right?
God, that was
Can
funny.
we commander snatch?
That was pretty
Can we
funny.
commander snatch?
You have to
It's
admit.
funny. We had lunch with that guy the other day. He's
Yeah.
the guy that implemented that. And
Yeah.
we were joking about it. I'm like, you need to come and work on the project so you can implement that.
Exactly. Just that.
He spent like a ridiculous amount of time getting that to work.
I remember. It was a lot of time, but man, it was cool. If you could pull it off, it was pretty cool.
Because it was like, well, it's on a different team, so how
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, we have to change a whole bunch of stuff.
That was so cool. Yeah. Not easy to do, but awfully fun.
Can we subscribe for a monthly fee? No, you just buy the game. Robot cannons, unit squads or single units, and why? Are there any units for space battles? No, we're not doing space battles. Stargate units. So a lot of people keep asking the question about, is there going to be some sort of teleporter? The answer is yes. There's going to be a way to teleport units between planets. Obviously it's going to require some resources to do that, and you're probably not going to move huge armies back and forth easily, but you'll certainly be able to strategically teleport stuff. Will you be able to turn the unit cannon around?
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of stationary right now in the previs, but I
Right.
imagine
So,
we'll need
so
it.
the idea is that when you place a unit down and you build it, you can pick its direction. So, but for the orbital cannon in particular, it mostly doesn't matter,
Yeah.
right? Because you can just have them do an orbit to go to where they need to go to. Replicators. Yeah, we're just gonna take those little spider guys from Stargate and put them in. No, that's a joke. I shouldn't joke about stuff like that because then people write it
Don't take
down.
it seriously,
Right?
Exactly. You said.
Can you hide on a dark side of a planet? I almost want to answer that question, but the answer is basically no. But this morning we were looking at some of the tech coming along for the planet rendering, and some of the stuff we're doing with lighting. I think people are gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna be impressed.
Yeah. It's exciting stuff.
And in some ways, we're kind of filling time here, right? We're getting really close to that point where we're going to start giving you guys screenshots of the actual game,
Yeah.
and it's close, but it's just not quite there.
Yeah. It's
And my philosophy on that is I don't want to show people stuff that's too work in progress because then they don't get it. Maybe that's a personal hang-up that I have, but I think that's something that we've seen can be detrimental. Something if it's work in progress, it should be obviously super temp.
Yeah.
That's okay to show.
Yeah.
But if something is kind of looks like most of the pieces are there, but they're not, and then
Yeah.
people spread those around, they can make the game look really bad.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to push on the tech pretty hard on this game. You know, a lot of people ask, you know, am I going to be is it going to push my video card? I think at this point the answer is pretty clear that it's going to push your video card pretty hard. Obviously, you can scale it back, right? But some of the tech stuff is pretty incredible.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming online. Cool.
So I think we're going to move on to our final special event of the day. Who's going to run that?
All right, let's do it.
Get ready to reveal.
All right, here we go. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. It's pretty exciting for us. Remember, as you're aware, we're big fans of Bacon here. What you see before you, yeah, look at that.
This is, what is this stack?
This is a bacon explosion. Look it up online, or maybe Andrew can show on the website. Barbecue addicts.
It's,
What's that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here, hold it for me.
So bacon explosion is bacon layered in a crisscross pattern. They stick a slab of sausage there, roll it up with more bacon. It's kind of ridiculous, is what it is. And we prepared one here for this. We got the whole Uber team like salivating and standing by the door. It's like, should we have this to 10 a.m. stand up? We'd have more people here for it. I'm mic'd in both places, so.
Get some forks.
All right, yeah, we have to cut this thing. So I have washed my hands, and I'm going to cut this bad boy. Scalpel. I don't even know how to go about this. I'm gonna do it a vertical slice this way.
Okay.
Vertical slice.
We don't do vertical slices.
That was actually no pun intended on the vertical slice.
Horizontal what?
Horizontal layers.
Horizontal
layers.
There we go. So, oh my God!
It's on.
Good Lord! If people could be here.
Wow.
Can we get a shot of that?
You got a shot of it.
So there's bacon in the middle. Oh my God! All right, I'm just gonna go for it. Here we go. It's gonna be just cut. Everyone gather around. Just start going at it.
This one.
We can like offer it to the camera.
Holy cow!
Oh.
It smells really good.
I wish smell-o-vision was a thing, because
I've got some bad news for you, Combs.
what?
The website said this is not gluten-free.
That's right.
There's something in. Holy, good Lord!
All right, we're digging in. It smells way like bacon.
It's like we should put candles in here.
You know what it tastes like?
Sausage.
Sausage wrapped in bacon.
Yeah. Too much sausage, not enough bacon.
So I'm gonna just take that right off the top. Get in here, people! Holy cow!
Oh God, that's awesome.
That's good.
I would say, if you got the means, order this today. That's really good.
And they didn't just send it to us. We ordered it ourselves. We did pay for it. It's not a sponsor.
No, it's not weird. It's not sponsored. We actually paid for this, but it's good. I believe it's also salt-free. Oh, Lord. All right, I'll make myself laugh. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
That's people, it's good. It's good.
Wait, that's the bacon stuff in the middle, see? I only had an end piece and didn't have the bacon filling.
I'm just going to eat this. I'm going to call this good.
Go for it, Harry.
Oh, man. That's good.
There we go. Bacon wrapped.
You could use more bacon.
This is a little slice of heaven.
Oh wow. So Bob,
Would you say this was a little pork barrel spending?
What?
Pork
Trying to
barrel
pun.
spending?
It's a horrible pun.
nothing.
Fail.
Pork barrel spending.
Don't be a pig, John.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So I'll watch that guy each.
Yeah. don't watch me eat. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time we stream.
That's pretty tasty.
Pretty awesome.